Welcome to the ATU Library Podcast.
I am Lowell Liebarker.
And I'm Luke Heffley.
Please join us to learn more about the ATU Library and all that it has to offer.
We explore timely topics with library staff members, local authors, musicians, and professionals from Arkansas Tech University, the River Valley, and beyond. Today we have a great podcast. Kat Robinson, who has written multiple books about not only food, but where in Arkansas and the South that great food resides. Whether it's in a diner, truck stop, or an out-of-the-way eatery, or a top-of-the-line restaurant, more than likely Kat has been there. I recently sat down with her and we had a great conversation about how she became such a, quote, foodie, from her background in journalism to her recent travels. So sit back and enjoy a conversation with Kat Robinson. Please tell us about your new book and about how you got there.
Wow, that's a great long story, but I'll try to condense it so that listeners can actually consume this in one fell swoop rather than a multitude of days of wringing of knuckles and pulling out of hair. I like to talk, and I like pie, and I like writing, so a lot of this comes together. I am a Tech alumni, and whenever I was here, I was in the creative writing program, but I didn't actually get an opportunity to start writing for a living until 2007, a full 12 years after I left Tech. This particular book is my fourth book, and it covers a subject I covered in my very first book, Arkansas Pie, A Delicious Slice of the Natural State. This one is called Another Slice of Arkansas Pie. It is the travel guide for pie lovers in the state of Arkansas. It's laid out so that you can travel literally from one place to another and eat all the pies. About 475 stops on that route. Don't try to tackle it all in one day. The book is a companion to the television show Make Room for Pie, which debuted in March of 2018 on Arkansas Educational Television Network, AETN, the PBS station for the state of Arkansas. It's an unusual book in the fact that it's meant to be the comprehensive guide to places to get pie, but not just a tour guide where you see an address and maybe a picture. There's so many stories that are within this book because pie in Arkansas has so many stories attached to it. Every pie maker has a story now, whether it's family or ambition or just a general love of pie. There's something to be pulled, some sort of string to pull there. I have a very large amount of work that I can pull from, a whole lot of stories that I can share, and I do in these 322 pages.
That sounds like a fascinating book. What is some towns that you can recall that really stand out, whether it's the pie or the atmosphere?
Well, I've been asked before if I can define a pie town, and there's so many, such as Jasper, Arkansas. It's a tiny little burg in the deep heart of the Ozarks. Very little cell signal reaches there, but they have the Black Walnut Pie at the Boardwalk Cafe, which happens to be the first all-organic local restaurant in the state of Arkansas. It opened around 2008 and continues to operate today. Or you can go up the street to the Ozark Cafe, the second oldest restaurant in the state, and have some fried pie. Or go around the corner over to the Blue Mountain Cafe, or down the road to Sharon K's, or get a little out of town and head over to Low Gap Cafe, which has received some national attention for being this little spot close to nothing, but which has remarkable food and excellent pie. Or you can go a number of places, say Spring River Country, Cherokee Village, Arkansas, where Carol's Lakeview Restaurant makes the tallest cream pies in the state. Then you go down the road to Chow in the Square, a brand new spot where you get peanut butter pie, or up to Hardy, where you can pick up little Amish hand pies at Cozy's Kitchen, or head over to Grandma's Country Cookin' for blueberry pie. Bigger's Bed and Breakfast with its number. Then you head up to Mammoth Spring, all within about 13 miles of each other. A ton of different great pies.
That sounds delicious. Is there a Arkansas pie, or is there a pie that's very popular among all of us in the state?
There's a lot of answers for that. And for the longest time, I had my heart set on one particular type of pie because I find it everywhere, and that's the possum pie. Now, this is a pie that's a cream pie. The top of it's whipped cream. The bottom of it is cream cheese, but in the middle it has a layer of chocolate. It's so named because it's playing possum. It's fooling you. Whenever you look at it before it's cut, you see the whipped cream and the pecans, and anything could be underneath that surface. As you slice into it, that chocolate custard, it's just splendid. Here in Russellville, in fact, there's a lady, Patty Stobaugh, who co-owns Stobies, who actually says the possum pie might come from Russellville, Arkansas, where Arkansas Tech is based, in a place called Cagle's Mill. Now, today Cagle's Mill is a sports bar, but back in the day it was high-end fine dining here in the city of Russellville. Had a great big water wheel out front and was in the court of what was then the Holiday Inn Hotel. They may have created it. I've also seen it in cookbooks all over the state, though. And not just called possum pie, but the same ingredients and structure being labeled as chocolate torte in South Arkansas or Robert Redford, I have no idea why, out in the Arkansas Delta. So for the longest time, I thought this should be the pie of Arkansas. However, the powers that be with tourism and with heritage have both indicated that perhaps the name possum might not be the best one that the state wants to convey to outsiders because, well, certainly it requires an explanation. We have many pies here that we could celebrate. Pecans, which are indigenous, are found all over the state in pies, not just in traditional pecan pies, but in versions with chocolate or the cream cheese pecan pie or just being added to any recipe. Or you could say it's an apple pie because we used to be the apple state and apples are everywhere. But if I were to put my finger on it, I would say probably the fried pie. The fried pie exists everywhere in Arkansas, and you find them literally everywhere. In restaurants, in truck stops, and antique malls, and vended out of food trucks or, out of a van by the river at times even. Because fried pies are these great portable morsels, and they can be filled with anything. For instance, if you go to Porsche and you go to the Dairy King there, you can get yours filled with strawberries and cream cheese. Or if you go and get a flywheel pie anywhere, those pies happen to be anything from raisin to sweet potato to cherry. I mean, they're crazy. You can even go to Duval's Bluff and get these really remarkable fried pies at Miss Lena's Pie Shop. She makes one called the Woodpecker, named after the ivory-billed woodpeckers that was allegedly seen in the 1990s and which we still seek some sort of evidence for. That pie is chocolate with a little cherry in it, all wrapped in a great amount of dough and perfect to stick in your pocket. So fried pies are everywhere in Arkansas. If I had to put my finger on it, that's probably the most common pie we have.
Do you personally have a favorite pie?
Well, that changes from time to time, but right now it happens to be this place called Gavin's Downtown. It's in downtown Harrisburg, right across from the courthouse. And except for the laundromat, that's about all that's in downtown Harrisburg. But you walk in and it's updated to the 21st century and great hardwoods inside. And there's a pie case that's right by the register. The pie there is strawberry cream pie. It's made with fresh strawberries, whipped cream on a short bread crust. It's not only an amazing pie, but it's very reminiscent of the famous Bald Knob Bulldog Restaurant strawberry shortcake. Except for this one you get to have year-round.
Now, the listeners, as you can tell, Miss Cat knows a lot about pies. But also, you've done research on other foods. Cheese dip? Can you tell us about that?
Well, cheese dip's an unusual thing, and people from outside the state for the longest time have assumed that we must just really like cheese dip because we eat a lot of it. In fact, the Rotel company actually sells more Rotel in Arkansas than it does in any other state combined because that Velveeta and Rotel quick cheese dip combination. What people outside Arkansas don't realize, though, is that this is where it's from. Cheese dip was created by the Donnelly family back in 1935. We have great documentation to show that they served it after coming back from a trip to Mexico, where Blackie and his wife found all these spices. They brought them back. They together made this emulsion of American and Mexican cheeses and spices, and they served it at a family gathering and were told, you got to get this out there. The Donnellys owned a restaurant called Little Mexico at the time, but they were getting ready for a move. They moved up to a place called Prothrow Junction, where they opened a restaurant called Mexico Chiquito. Cheese dip spread like wildfire, and so yellow cheese dip was found all over central Arkansas, from the 1940s on. In the 1980s, you got a restaurant that was called the Blue Mesa that decided to make their own version, but instead of using yellow cheeses, they used a blend of peppers and white cheeses and created the first white cheese dip. Today, restaurants around the state have different versions of cheese dip, yellow or white, sometimes a little green like Judy's Best at U.S. Pizza Company locations, or red like Sparky's Roadhouse up in Eureka Springs. It's pervasive here. At the end of 2016, there was actually a competition between Senator Ted Cruz and Senator Tom Cotton about who actually came up with it and who had the better cheese dip. Now, as you may know, Senator Cruz is out of Texas, and Texas just lays claim to everything, but they can't lay claim to this. So they actually had a congressional battle and tasting right there in Washington, D.C. Arkansas's representative was to find Five Families cheese dip from Heights Taco and Tamale in Little Rock, and it won hands down.
Yay.
Cheese dip is Arkansas. It's very peculiar to us because we absolutely love it. Here in Russellville, I just tried some amazing cheese dip today at La Chiquita, which does a white. But Russellville's most famous cheese dip's probably that made by Stobies. They have a very rich yellow-orange cheese dip that's just like nothing else. So you can get it right here, right where Tech is located.
Now, you mentioned Russellville. From what I understand, you are an Arkansas Tech University alumni. Is that correct?
That is correct. I came here in 1991 thinking I was going to be a band director with a minor in creative writing. And I turned around and left here in 1995 with a journalism degree. In fact, I got my first experience in anything with KXRJ, a campus radio station here. I worked here all 4 years at the radio station, and that's kind of, I have a very interesting meter to my voice. I had a show called The Eccentric Show. It was a novelty music program that ran in the evenings, about 9 o'clock at night on every Monday night. And for 4 years, that was my jam. I'd get all excited about it and go and play Weird Al Yankovic and Spike Jones and Ray Stevens, and it was something very special, and it hooked me. And after doing that for a couple of years, I decided it was time to change my major. And that's what led me into a career first in radio, and then television, and then on to what I'm doing right now. I've gone through every aspect of journalism, and it all started, all those seeds were planted right here at Tech.
How many years were you in television?
12 years, at least as a producer. I started at KAIT in Jonesboro in 1995, spent 3 years there, and then went to Little Rock, where I was the morning show producer for Today's THV This Morning for 8 years, back when it was BJ, Robin, and Tom. One of my anchors decided to retire, and I thought it's time for my next big adventure. Now, I say that, but today I actually have been working as a host and writer for productions for AETN, and that's where Make Room for Pie came from, and there will be future endeavors in that fashion.
What is one or two of your most favorite places to eat when you're in the River Valley, or 3 or 4? I know it's very difficult.
That is really, really tough, because I have mentioned Stobies. I have a connection to Feltner's. Back when I started in radio, I understood there was a value in promotion, so I went to different business owners around the city, and whenever I went over to Whataburger, Old Man Feltner actually came over and said, absolutely, I will help you out in any way. He used to see me around town, and he would just pull out a business card and write on the back of the card, 1 free meal or 1 order of fries, which, of course, at the time would feed a family of 4 for a week.
They were huge.
They were huge at the time. And so it has a special place for me. Missy and Randy do a great job with it. It's a great heritage restaurant. It's the place where I tell people you have to stop there if you really want to get the Arkansas Tech feel. I also like CJ's Butcher Boy burgers, but I'm also a fan of burgers, if you can imagine. Further up the River Valley, I like Rivertown Barbecue up in Ozark. I actually also really love Hillbilly Hideout in the I-40 Travel Center. It's the only 24-hour place in the River Valley that you can get pie anytime now. I say that because the Old South, which used to be 24 hours, isn't anymore. They still have magnificent pie, and they have the old Burnell Austin fried pickles there. There's a couple places up in Clarksville that I've really enjoyed, like the Country Cooking up there, Country Cooking Grill, which does pies and pancakes and all sorts of other goodies. And then there's Sweet Treats in Lamar's, which makes the tallest pie in the state. I've never had a bad meal there. They're only open for lunch Monday through Friday. It is a must stop if you're in the River Valley between 11 and 2. Be sure to drop in.
You know, I have been at the place in Ozark you're talking about, and
Yeah.
that was a pleasant surprise.
Yes.
When you walk into the station itself, and you look, you see it to the side, and you're like, what's this going to be like? And very, very, I recommend it highly. Now, you say this is your 4th book.
Yes.
Is that it, or is there another one down the road?
There's probably 20 down the road. I don't know when to stop. But the next one should be of a special interest to folks that want more about Arkansas food research. See, back in 2007, I was asked the question, what is Arkansas food? And I sort of made it a life mission to define it. The next book, which is coming out in fall of 2018, will be Arkansas Food, the A to Z of eating in Arkansas, literally laid out from apple butter to zucchini bread. A is for apples, B is for barbecue, C is for cheese dip. Just an idea. It started out just as a base definition with some pictures, but as I went along compiling it, people started giving me recipes. So it will include things like the company's come-in pie recipe from the Cliff House Inn in Jasper, eggplant casserole from Frankie's Cafeteria, the oldest cafeteria in the state, and the famed dressing from Coy's Steakhouse in Hot Springs, plus just basic recipes on things like brown beans and ham, or the Italian soaked salad that comes with the famed Italian dinner that they have up at the Tawnytown Grape Festival each year. It's meant to be an overview to talk about these are the things that we eat, why we eat them, how to make them, and just something to educate and entertain at the same time.
That sounds good. Now, the book that's currently out, Another Slice of Arkansas Pie. From what I understand, it has lots of pictures and recipes.
Oh, yes. There are 475 different places to get pie listed in the book, along with more than 400 full-color images and 33 recipes for some of the most famous pies in the state, including some of those that we've lost over time, such as the PCP pie from Ed and Kay's in Benton. That stands for Pineapple Coconut Pecan. It's laid out as a travel guide so that you can pick it up and travel from Northwest across the top of the state of Arkansas, down through the Delta, across Lower Arkansas, or LA as they sometimes call it, and back up and through the River Valley to end up in Central Arkansas. You could technically drive the whole book, but I wouldn't recommend trying to consume all that pie in one day.
So are we ever going to see a Cat Robinson's restaurant?
Oh no, I've already demolished my favorite hobby of writing. Cooking and food research are my second love, and I had the opportunity to attend the Arkansas Culinary School when it first opened back around 2007, and it was a difficult decision. But with the research I've done, I know the kind of lives that chefs live. I'm dedicated to what I do. I don't think I could pick up something else. That being said, I don't mind sharing my research and ideas. I've seen several restaurants along expansive time that have picked up things that I've done. In fact, there's a little place called Miss Anna's up in Fort Smith that if you ask for cat fries, they will give you the Nacho Supreme, but on French fries. So apparently there is a spread.
Is that named after you?
Oh, yeah.
There you go. If someone wants to read about your adventures or order your book, whether it's this book or your next one, where would they go?
My primary website is tiedyetravels.com. That's TIEDYETRAVELS.com. It's a repository of more than 1,200 articles about everything, not just Arkansas food, but travel, both inside and outside the state. It covers everything from festivals to one-time happenings to just general ideas about Arkansas food. It started off as a place to keep my writing skills sharp whenever I left television and evolved into this great volume of information that people are still going back to read today. If you're interested, though, in ordering this book, go to arkansaspie.com. you will find a link there to order another slice of Arkansas pie, which is be signed and delivered with a map of Arkansas, so you'll be ready to go. You can also find it on Amazon.com, Barnes & Noble, and even in some select Sam's Clubs now.
Is there anything else you'd like to share before we close down?
There's something important to remember about Arkansas food, or the food of any culture that you're immersed in. It's not just what we used to eat, which ended up with such crazy things like goat barbecue and, of course, cheese dip and fried pickles. It's also the dishes that we choose to consume today. Fresh fruits and vegetables that are grown by Hmong farmers in western Arkansas. Or Fort Smith, the most culinarily diverse city in the entire state, with all sorts of different cuisines from Southeast Asian to German to Ecuadorian. You've got all sorts of different innovative foods and foodways that are just now developing with the farm-to-table movement. It's all Arkansas food, and it should all be celebrated. So get out there and try some of it.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. I enjoyed this.
This now concludes this episode of the ATU Library Podcast. Many thanks to Lagan Gentry for composing our theme music and photo editing. Thank you for listening, and be sure to tune in to next week's program.